Hello, my name is Ryan Barton. Imagine you're listening to music. Maybe it's your favorite song, or perhaps it's a classical piece. Maybe you've never listened to it before. Maybe you're singing along or dancing to the song. Maybe you're reading a book on the couch. Chances are you're not dissecting the mathematical concepts and intricate harmonies that work their way into this music and make it sound so pleasing. Three of the most fundamental aspects of these harmonies and of this mathematics that is created by music are major and minor scales and the ways that they interact with one another, which we will discuss today. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, major chords are composed of the first, third, and fifth notes of a major scale. Using these three notes, intervals are created between the notes. For example, between the first and third notes of this chord, you can find a major third. A major third is defined as an interval between two notes equivalent to 4 half steps. Between the third and fifth notes of the chord, you will find a different interval called a minor third, this being defined as an interval between notes equivalent to only 3 half steps, hence major or more and minor or less. The reason this has a happy connotation in the brain, or a more positive, hopeful resonance, is because larger intervals, such as the major third present in the scale, is what are perceived in the brain as more happy or uplifting. Now, minor scales, on the other hand, do something a little bit differently. They have a similar structure to major chords, being composed of the first, third, and fifth notes of a scale. However, it's not the major scale. Minor scales do a different form of interval that allow them to sound so different from major scales. What this creates is an interval of a minor third between the first and third notes of the scale, and an interval of a major third between the third and fifth notes of the scale, almost flipping the intervals on their head from what we saw on the major scale. According to the Kennedy Center, this is what creates a sad or closed-off perception in the brain, is a smaller interval, such as the minor third that is present in the minor chord, is perceived as more sad. Now, although these scales may sound very different, or although they may be perceived by the brain as very different, they work together in very many interesting ways in order to create music, or in order to play with emotion during a musical piece. But how? Well, remember earlier when I said how major scales are a more uplifting or hopeful sounding chord. This is played with by composers by having a minor scale lead into a major scale in a piece of music, which creates a sad feeling going to a happy feeling, ending on a sense of closure, finality, and hope. But what kinds of scales or chords are necessary in order to achieve this effect? Well, there are two types of scales necessary, one of which makes this effect possible. Let me give you an example. The G major scale has 1 sharp in its key signature. This is pertaining to the 7th note in the scale, which must be played 1 half step up from its natural frequency in order to preserve the structure of the major scale. What its relative minor, the type of minor scale that is necessary in order to create this effect, what the relative minor does is it borrows the key signature, in this case being 1 sharp, from G major and applies it to its own tonic, in this case being E, in order to make it sound more closed off or sad. So While all of these factors may be very complicated or may be very simple, they work together in so many intricate ways and can be arranged in so many delicate displays that it can be hard not to marvel or delight at the beautiful melodies created by this mathematics.